Are we recording? All right. Exciting night. Look at everybody. I'd like to go ahead and call the regular Board of Ed meeting for Wednesday, May 24th at 6:30 to order. And join me in a pledge of allegiance. We do need to add one agenda item this evening before we go to public comment.
Can I make a motion to add item 6C, student reports to the agenda?
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed and abstained. Great.
Can I also make a motion to add agenda item, let's see where we put it, 9B for goal 1, please, discussion?
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed and abstained. And do we have any public comment this evening?
Bryant Meyer, I live in town, for kids in school. My daughter was threatened to be killed in school the other day. And unfortunately, I'm making a call tomorrow. She's continuing going. Now, the girl has become a bully. So she made 2 threats, I heard, to kill people. And was handled very well. I think it was handled well in the sense that police were called, a wellness check was done. Unfortunately, as a medical professional, I took she threatened to kill her as one thing, but then she was very specific and threatened to kill her with a gun. And then even followed it up with a plan that her grandparents have done, and she's used them, and look where they are. So the wellness check was done, and it was not done for the grandparents, and it was left at that. She has been told, safety plan is safe, to take her to my daughter. And not happening, unfortunately. We follow her around in front of her. Yesterday, it was in her face, telling her, I'm told that Miss Christina says I'm not allowed to talk to you. And she would follow her around for her safe and then told, you need to get out of this. Yesterday, it was again, I wish you weren't even here. I'm crying, saying, I know she meant, I wish I weren't even on this. So now it's turning into a bullying. On top of the fact that the girl was allowed to go to a field trip last week, around her on the field trip. She was at school with her. She was within 10 feet. I had to have her avoid her at the school concert. And as a parent, I can only do so much. I've talked to the police. Nothing was done. I was disappointed that I did not hear any response like myself. I thought it was a more serious topic. I was very disappointed in the comments after my discussion with Troy that kids say these things and, the chances of something happening are minuscule. Well, I'll be damned. I don't want that minuscule chance happening to my daughter or my family or anybody else. So I'd like safety to get right in the school. On top of it, now bullying. So not going away. It's getting worse. Now I have her to a psychologist because I think she's affected. And I will stay on top of her and her health, but I think it's a big problem. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I don't think she meant expulsion, suspension. I don't know. I just don't think the child understands any repercussions, or I don't know if she had any, and at this point, she's continuing with my daughter. I know I'm not on it. It should be something else.
Thank you.
That's it.
I appreciate you bringing it forward, and we do take all of that very seriously. Did you send me an email? Because I don't recall getting it. So let me look back through. I apologize because I always do try to respond. But we do take it seriously, and I'm sorry that you're going through this. And I appreciate you bringing it to our attention. Thank you. Yeah, we're still on public comment? Sure.
On. My name's Wayne Coates. For those here that don't know me, I was a groundskeeper here for a number of years at the school district. I just noticed that you have a line item for an RFP on the agenda. But I've heard some conversation about the grounds, and I wanted to hear it from the board directly, what plans or any plans that you have for the athletic complex or the school grounds.
Yeah, so we had a full presentation on that at the last meeting. That is recorded if you'd like to see it. And also, well, it was 2 meetings ago, actually. And then at the last meeting, we voted to go to RFP, and we're taking a look at the fields, the condition of the fields. We've done a field study. And now we're looking at the next steps to see what it would cost to bring those fields into better conditions.
Okay, study is available to see? Is it on?
It is, yeah.
Okay. Could somebody address some of the issues that you have with the fields?
Well, yeah, I have the study with me if you'd like me to hand it to you.
That would-
If you don't mind me taking it back at the end, just so I can make another copy.
That's fine.
We're addressing everything from, initially, we just talked about irrigation. That was always what we were told was the issue. But the study has now addressed everything from the weed control to the irrigation to the soil content to all kinds of, gave us several different ways that we can go about remedying it, from a somewhat affordable option to something on the extreme. So we're looking at all the options to get a really good idea of what the pricing is for that, and then going to make decisions from there.
Okay, we've always, from day one when I got here, we've always had major issues to address. And I'm sure some of these issues are still here. And I have a lot of history for my 15 years being here, and I'd be more than glad to supply that information or pick my brain with the board at any time. So you're talking about irrigation. That is the main thing with irrigation. You have to have a water supply. We do not have a water supply adequate to irrigate the fields. We've already addressed that numerous times. So I just would like to, if somebody would like to sit down and share some information for me, I'd be glad to share.
All right, I'd be happy to do that with you as well, Wayne, and I'm sure Troy would also. They are looking at, where the water supply would come from. One of the things they are looking at, but they haven't fully vetted that yet, is the old well, because that's no longer being used. But they haven't said that's the answer. They're just looking at options at this point. So far, the presentation, if you want to look at it online, was very, very thorough, and they did a really nice job. But I'm happy to give you my paper copy as well, if that's easier for you.
Glad to look at it. And
Okay.
Like I said, like share, 15 years, we went through an awful lot. We started from scratch when I first got here, and I have some pictures of the fields before the grubs came in.
Yeah, the grubs.
We had a pretty nice field.
Yep.
Nice athletic complex.
Yep, and there are some options for, they gave us some different options for pesticide options as well. So we are looking at all of that, but any feedback we can get from you, Wayne, we're going to appreciate, because you have had some great experience with it, and we certainly don't need to start from zero when we have some great knowledge out there to help us. So thank you for coming forward. Any other comments? Oh, not seeing any. That brings me up to, I have a presentation I'd like to share tonight. The podium. Okay, can everybody hear me okay? Okay. This is very big, so. Representative Greg Howard reached out, Kristen, when he heard that you were elected as the Principal of the Year and wanted to present you with a citation from the General Assembly. And he had some comments for you, so I'm going to read his comments. It is with heartfelt regret that we are not here this evening to recognize Kristen in person for this outstanding and so well-deserved accomplishment, but our respective sessions have us up in the Capitol tonight. Senator Summers and I could not be prouder to represent the town of North Stonington in Hartford, and we are most especially proud of Kristen and the entire educational system in this community. Kristen, I have witnessed you in your school firsthand and have heard countless secondhand accounts from students, parents, and staff of just how blessed the town of North Stonington and the Wheeler community are to have you at the helm. It is administrators like you that further development of the next generation and in many cases change the course of a life for the better. The impact you have today will have lasting effect long beyond your accomplished career. Congratulations on this recognition. The Senator and I are very honored to present you this state citation as a token of our appreciation of your commitment to our children. Thank you for all that you do, Greg. And I think we have some students that want to say a few things as well.
My name's Marissa, and I'm a senior at Wheeler High School. I don't think the award of Principal of the Year could have gone to a better candidate than Mrs. St. Germain. I was on the board of students that talked to the Connecticut school representatives that were sent to learn more about her. My fellow peers and I could not stop talking about all the wonderful and impactful things that Miss St. Germain does for the school. This includes accommodating all students' learning abilities, instilling new work school programs, including new career days for students to learn about new pathways for themselves. And one of my personal favorites is creating a council of students from all schools in the ECC to create a better atmosphere in the high school sports. She does all these things because she wants to see improvement in all of us. She wants to see us excel in sports, see us get new opportunities, and she wants us to walk across the stage on graduation day. Continuing, even though the title Principal of the Year fits her very well, she is way more than just a principal. She's a mentor, a listener, a leader, and most importantly, social with each one of her students every day. In my 7 years as a student underneath Miss St. Germain, there are so many things that I wish I could thank her for. This includes listening to me, being able to help me fix any problems I face, constantly creating new opportunities for me, traveling and watching my sport events, and being an adult I know I can trust. Being a senior, looking back at my high school career, I don't think I could have pictured a better and more caring principal than Miss St. Germain. I'm so happy for you and congratulations.
Thanks a lot. I'd be dressed a little better had I known this was happening tonight. It is Wellness Day today, so as you can see, we look a little wellnessed out, but we had a great day. I just want to say it is a total privilege to work in this town. I love my job. I love the people I work with. I cannot say enough about the great things that happen here, and that happens because we have the support of our Board of Education. So thank you very much for that. And my students, I love you more than you could possibly know, and all I ever want is to see you be successful. So thank you. That means a lot. And I want to add that today was one of those really special days in our district. I want to thank Rebecca Schilke and I want to thank Kim Haggerty for what they did today. We had quite a wellness day from start to finish. We had pigs, we had tie-dyeing, we had fishing, hiking, you name it, we did it. I don't think it could happen as seamlessly anywhere else. And that's just a testament to the great teachers in this district and the support that we get from all of you guys. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I'd just like to add that Mrs. St. Germain will represent Connecticut in the National Principal of the Year Award Program, sponsored by the National Association of Secondary School Principals. She will compete for the national honor along with principals of the year from each of the other 49 states, the District of Columbia, the Department of Defense Education Activity, and the Department of State Offices of Overseas Schools. That'll happen in the fall. So congratulations, Kristen, and good luck to you.
Allison, did you want to do a picture? Okay. And then also for everybody who's joining us tonight, there are cupcakes in the back, if anybody would. And we have more awards tonight. So it's been a great night so far. Let's go ahead with the CABE Award recognition.
Each year, the Connecticut Association of Boards of Education recognizes 2 outstanding students from the middle schools across the state who exemplify outstanding leadership qualities as CABE scholars. With a very specific criteria in mind, the staff at Wheeler then seek out students who show a willingness to take on challenges and are able to make difficult decisions. They look for students who show a genuine concern for others and who express a willingness to work with others regardless of whether or not they are in the same social circle. They also want candidates who show a willingness to commit to a project and who honor their commitments. These students must act with diplomacy by showing they have the unique ability to understand issues clearly. This year, the teachers at Wheeler have identified 2 8th graders who they feel represent all of these characteristics. Ingrid Anderson, can you come on up? Ingrid Anderson, an 8th grader at Wheeler Middle School, embodies the qualities of leadership, compassion, sportsmanship, and kindness. She is an excellent student and approaches all of her work with integrity. She is also a dedicated athlete and is well respected by her peers and her teachers for her politeness, friendliness, and consideration of others. Ingrid leads by example and is always willing to help out anyone in need. Congratulations to Ingrid Anderson on this incredible honor. Ingrid has a nice letter here from CABE from the board and a certificate signed by the president and executive director.
And Connor Gallagher, please come on up. Connor Gallagher, an 8th grader at Wheeler Middle School, exemplifies the qualities of sportsmanship, leadership, and kindness. He is a role model among his peers and participates in multiple sports and has strong academic habits. Most importantly, Connor makes the effort to say hello every morning while checking in with both his peers and teachers and Miss St. Germain and I, and has a smile for everyone in the process. We are so proud of Connor. Congratulations. We are so proud of these CABE recipients and wish them both and their families a sincere congratulations on this incredible honor. Congratulations.
And I want to say all the students who have had a very long day, if you're tired and you have homework, it is okay to leave at any time. Okay.
And we have 2 presentations tonight. The first one is going to be presented by Rebecca Schilke and Rebecca Costello from the Give Back Club.
So Mrs. Costello couldn't be here tonight, and a number of other people that were hoping to be here as well couldn't, some of our students. But tonight we just wanted to give a really quick snapshot of some things, some really wonderful things that our Give Back Club has been doing. And I confused lots of people because I've taught at both schools, and I had somebody just ask me today. I'm a reading specialist right now at the elementary school, 2.5 days a week, just part-time. But I still run the Give Back Club at the high school because I was there for 13 years. And we have incredible, amazing students that are just looking for opportunities to help and serve others. And so it's a privilege to be able to run that club with Becca Costello. And our administrators are just amazing. Anytime I go with an idea to Kristen and Allison, they're like nodding before I finished. And I'm like, wait, hear me out. But they're just incredibly supportive and see the value of our students kind of getting outside of our beautiful bubble in North Stonington. And it is beautiful, but it is sometimes a bubble. And so traveling to places where they can see some diversity and get to see firsthand needs has been really exciting. So tonight we just wanted to share a little bit about a trip that we took in March. I think there's a slide that's going to come up next. Do I have a clicker or does somebody have that for me? So 5 students from Wheeler had the opportunity to travel to Augusta, Maine. In this picture, we're shown here with Travis Mills, and I don't know if people are familiar with him, but Travis Mills is a quadruple amputee. He was serving in Afghanistan and set his backpack down on a mine and lost all 4 limbs. He was not expected to survive. He did, and through his experience of rehabilitation, decided that he really wanted to do something for veterans and their families, particularly for veterans who experienced trauma and injury. And so he started this foundation in Maine, and they fly families in from all over the country for free. And families get to just really experience the beauty of Maine and do adaptive sports. And he is, if you aren't familiar with him, check out his website, Travis Mills and the Travis Mills Foundation. He's incredible. So this particular event that he invited us to come to was a breakfast for about 500 Vietnam veterans. And it's interesting because the students talked a lot on the trip up to Maine about that sometimes we don't talk about the Vietnam War as much as we do other eras in history. And so to see firsthand was incredible. And if we go to the next slide, you can see the students were able to set up at the breakfast, a huge convention center in Augusta, and interact with the veterans. And the man that you see in the blue shirt there works with the foundation, and he did our training. And he said, we'd like you to welcome each veteran, shake their hand, thank them for coming to the breakfast, and then we'd like you to look them in the eye and say, welcome home, because that's something that these soldiers and service members didn't get to experience. And so, you know, our Wheeler kids are unbelievable. These veterans come in the door, some in wheelchairs, some with canes, and our students go right up, put an arm on their shoulder, and do exactly as they've been trained to do. And I'm in the corner, you know, with wiping the tear away. But again, the opportunity that we had to just to serve these veterans breakfast, but also just to appreciate their service. And I'm going to let one of our students share in just a minute. The next picture, I think, shows this is a 93-year-old Air Force nurse. She's a veteran from the Vietnam War. Amazing, incredible story. And about 5 years ago, she went on a kind of a personal goal to raise money for the Travis Mills Foundation. And she personally raised $30,000 for the foundation so that more families could come. And she was so excited to be with us and so excited to be there. She's in a nursing home now and hadn't been out of the nursing home since Thanksgiving. And this was March. So this was a big day. And at one point she turned to one of our students and said, I'm not sure my lipstick looks right. And they right away said, you look beautiful. So it was, again, a great opportunity. And the last picture just shows our students greeting the veterans. Each veteran got a challenge coin as they left. And again, the chance to thank them for their service was really significant. So I'm going to ask Ariana to come up. This is Ariana Page. She's a sophomore at Wheeler. And I'm going to let her share kind of her takeaway from the experience.
I'm Ariana Page, and I had the honor to go to this great breakfast put together by Travis Mills and his foundation. We went there the first day, and we just set up, and we got to know the rest of the team. They were all wonderful people. And we went back to the hotel room, had some team bonding time. And then the next morning we woke up, and at 6 o'clock we were out of the hotel heading to the Travis Mills Foundation to have this breakfast for these veterans. And I had the pleasure of serving them all coffee. So I got to talk to every single veteran there, and they were all sharing their stories. And I went into this breakfast knowing basically nothing about Vietnam, and they were all sharing their stories. One guy came up to me. He was in his 70s. He came up to me and told me how great it was to see kids my age there because he was spit on when he came back home, which I didn't know they were that disrespected. So I came out of that breakfast with not only a newfound respect for these veterans, but also a want to learn and a need to learn about their war because I didn't know much. And they just inspired me to learn and to keep going no matter what challenges I face.
And our Give Back Club has been around for about 8 years, and our numbers have varied. Some years we've had a very small group, other years we had a whole lot of students. We have about 12 students this year that are super involved. And we have done hurricane response over the years. We flew to Texas and South Carolina and did cleanup. And we've done lots of projects. It's also really important to us as a club that we're taking care of local needs. So in 2019, we started our Giving Closet, and it's just down the hall in this building, and it has exploded this year. And we are so proud. The students have done a tremendous amount of work at setting up clothing for sizes from newborn to 3X. We have families that come every week to shop at the closet. Everything is free. And we get the same question every week. People say, well, how many items can we take? And we say, there's no limit. You know, you just take what you need. And I had the pleasure of meeting 2 weeks ago. I met a mom, a single mom of 3 daughters, does not live in our town. She lives one town over. But during COVID, she lost her job because she had to be home with her girls. They were young at the time. And she said she began slowly selling items one at a time from her home to try to keep things floating. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to keep her apartment. She became homeless with her 3 daughters and is just now getting back on her feet after all that COVID brought. And so she talked extensively about the fact that being able to come to a place and get clothing for all of her girls was just an incredible help to her. So our students work in the Giving Closet all the time. We sort donations, we hang things, we collect things that need to be collected. But I want to give a special shout out to Sarah Valancourt, who's a mom this year who has just helped us to just expand in ways we couldn't imagine. I'll let her share and I'll let her close today. But I think our last count since December 13th, we've given away 4,500 items to families. Just a lot, and the need is huge. So thank you to the board, thank you to Troy, the administration for helping us support that. And again, it's just amazing, very humbling to have people come. And if you get a minute, I unlocked it. So take a look. It's the last door on the right before you leave. And we have racks, so many now that we kind of roll them out into the halls when people come to shop. But it's just a privilege to be able to help people in Maine and people in our own state. So Sarah, do you want to say a few words? Okay.
Hello. First, I'd like to start by saying thank you so much to Mr. Hopkins and Mr. Carlson for allowing us to get out of the athletic director's room with our 3 little racks and a whole bunch of athletic equipment and giving us a room of our own. Since we've been able to have a room of our own, the shopping experience for everybody that comes into the Giving Closet is like nothing you've ever seen. You can feel the stress release from their body as they walk through the door and the hopes they have on their face as they leave with bags and bags of brand new clothes. The community has been tremendous in all of the donations that they have given to us. We also have been blessed with a woman named Shannon who runs Operation Fresh Start, which helps families get on their feet that are homeless. And she has been able to donate thousands of brand new clothes for our closet for every season, shoes, you name it, she has it. If people come in and need special requests for blankets or pillows or something, we go to Shannon and we pick the stuff up and we bring it back to the closet. They meet us here, they take it. The stories that some of these families face are sad, are very, very sad. And to be able to put a smile on their face, knowing that they can now buy themselves some food instead of clothing that we can provide for them is truly just humbling. When I first started doing this, the tears that would roll down my face the minute I walked through my home, I couldn't control my heart. And my husband said, if you're going to do this, you have to have a very strong heart to be able to do this. And so since then, I've been able to, I have my favorite families that I've like adopted and took under my wing. But it's a lot of work. It's lots of hauling clothing back and forth from everywhere, going through all the clothing, thankful for the Give Back Club. for doing a lot of the work that we just can't get to while we are working for these families. Thank you, thank you, thank you to Vicky for allowing me to be part of such a special organization. And thank you to our town, all our townspeople, and all the kids in school that are donating. It's just such a magical thing to see, and such a really great thing that our town is doing for not only North Stonington, but surrounding towns. So if you know of anybody anywhere that is locally around, please send them to our giving closet. We only take brand new that we use. If we wouldn't give it to our children, we wouldn't want somebody to be giving it to their children or themselves. So the need is there. We have done, like Rebecca has said, 4,500 items have walked out that door. So, and there's change of clothes every single week. We can't even keep up with the bags that just keep being brought to us. So yes, it's been a very fantastic experience, and I look forward to watching our giving closet grow. And yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Hey, can I just ask quickly, are there specific things that you need right now? I mean, while you have a forum? Sure, because it just thinking that this will be recorded, the people who are watching, people will be watching.
Wonderful. Thank you for asking. Yes, we have a lot of need for 3T, 4T, and 5T clothes, both boys and girls. We have a great need for leggings for women. A lot of these women give all that they have to their children and have nothing for themselves. A lot of the moms that come in. So like Becca had said, we do 0 months up to 3XL, and so leggings, 3T, 4T, 5T, a lot of 7/8s, a lot of 9/10s for kids. And then extra large clothes are very helpful too.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so the next agenda item is the reading program presentation by Rob Salino and his team.
All right. So thank you very much. If you want to go to the next slide, Chad. This is just, so we're going to be talking about our ELA curriculum. So just to start off here is just the representation of our team that we have. And I think you'll see we have a great representation every grade level, your special education, and even our library media specialists. We do have some of our members here today to help support. We have Heidi and Renee Bennett and Stephanie Goodwin, Sherry Tardif, and Lisa McDonald, who are all part of this curriculum team that we have. Next one. So some of the drivers for our update. So first thing is that we talked about our NEAS district accreditation goal. So there is a NEAS standard on curriculum. So we figured this was a great driving force to kind of help us move in the direction that we wanted to do. We want to make sure that we're going to be coherent across all of our grade levels. So that's another reason to want to update the curriculum. We want to collaborate with the middle school and high school. And we're doing that in terms of our curriculum templates. So we're using the same templates that they're using, and we're also using the same procedures in order to update our curriculum. We need to be in compliance with the state of Connecticut. So there's a new general statute, section 1014I, that's requiring the state, along with the Reading Leadership Implementation Council, to select curricula, not easy to say, and each district has to implement that curricula by July of this year. And that curriculum needs to be from pre-K to 3. At this point, there is not an approved pre-K curricula. There are a few that are being reviewed. So right now we only have K through 3 that we're actually really looking at. Then there's also a new state statute that just came out, and that's requiring all districts to use approved universal screens for K to 3. The test that we currently use now is STAR, and that's no longer going to be accepted by the state. So we want to make sure that we're, in compliance with them. And part of the reason for this is about the science of reading, which is really the cutting edge and the real driving force in reading instruction nowadays. And this is really what's driving that update at the state level. So next slide, Chad. So for our process, our curriculum work began back in 2002. We started off by just looking at our K-6 ELA standard. So the team took some time to unpack those standards, which really just consists of looking at the progression of the standards across all grade levels, deciding on what those enduring understandings should be, and kind of sifting out those essential questions. All this will be used and contained in our actual curriculum documents when we actually do write. This again is the same template that the middle school and high school is using. Our whole process for doing this is all under the understanding by design model, which is what the middle school and high school also uses. And we did start a little bit of some brief training on that, really familiarizing ourselves with that. And really what this does is just starts with the end in mind. So we start with the end goal where we want the students to end up, and then we work backwards to figure out how we want to actually get them there. The science of reading has been this newer shift. So we began learning more about the science of reading as a group. I think our initial discussion started around a podcast, Shifting the Balance. It was one of the books that was also recommended to us. So between the podcasts, we did purchase a Shifting the Balance, or I should say the district did, for all of our K through 2 teachers and our special ed teacher. We looked at articles. We've done some professional development for all these teachers through the Reading League on the science of reading. So there's been a lot of discussion, especially on that first floor, about what the science of reading is and what it all means. So real briefly, science of reading. Somebody can jump in if I'm wrong, please. I'm going to do my best, but I'm still learning about it. But it's based on 50 years of research across the globe. They've done thousands and thousands of studies, and they've done them in multiple languages. And what it's saying is that the preponderance of evidence is how to inform how proficient reading and writing develop. It talks about why some students have difficulty. It talks about how best to assess, and teach. And it also talks about how to improve student outcomes by prevention or intervention of reading difficulties. It's not a fad. It's not an ideology. It's been around, like I said, for 50 years. And it's not a program of instruction. In short, what it tells us is that reading comprehension is a product of word recognition and language comprehension. It's not a sum game, it's a product. So both have to be operating together in order for reading to really happen. And the research has also shown that those neural connections that are required in reading don't exist in the pre-literate brain, and that the efficient pathways are built with explicit instruction and deliberate practice. And this is part of the reason what has been driving the state to this, is that it is that explicit instruction and that deliberate practice is what we need to be doing. Next slide. So from here, we started, after we did all of our unpacking and we talked about our essential questions and all that stuff, we started to look at what our choices are from the state. So this is one of the ed reports for the Inter-Reading program, which we're going to be talking about. And you can see how well it was scored in all those areas. We looked at what we currently have, what we were currently using, what did we like, what did we dislike, what did we feel was missing, how can we best incorporate the science of reading, again, the ed reports, and then we also reached out to other schools. So we looked at local Connecticut districts. There's a Rhode Island district that we're of that is using the program that we were looking at. So we had a host of our teachers go there and observe for a day, ask questions, see the actual program in action. And we've also reached out to people across the United States in Washington State. So we spoke with a woman over there who oversees 23 elementary schools. And through their piloting process, they ended up landing on this Inter-Reading program, and we were able to meet with her virtually and talk about why this was a program that they selected. So if we'll go to the next slide, I'm going to let Heidi come up for a minute and just talk a little bit about the different components of the Inter-Reading program.
So for every grade level, you have so many models. There's 36 weeks of teaching, and they've kind of divided it up into weeks of how many like models you do. And they incorporate, starting from like kindergarten, you're learning sounds, how to take words apart. Everything's auditory. And then you introduce your print, and then you start introducing the code. And it just progresses from there. And this also teaches the 6 syllable types of our English language. And it continues all the way up. And I know in grade 2 and 3, you start getting to multisyllabic words and learning about prefixes and suffixes and Latin roots and what words really mean. And that really ties into comprehension. Because if you understand what the words are, the meaning behind them, your comprehension just soars. We have decodable books. They start in kindergarten. They go up to grade 2. Then we go into natural books, real books that we do every day. And all the books are available electronically. And so we can have them on devices. We can have them on a board like this in front of the classroom. The students could do little centers with the books. Rigby reading books is something we can purchase too. And that's just trade books, which are just small reading books. But you can do like a group of 6 students that can work together. Vocabulary is included in all of this. And that also is tied in with your spelling. And some spelling keywords or your vocabulary words. And again, you're talking about prefixes and suffixes, and you can dovetail it into your content area, science, social studies. Writing, we have a writing component, and it's all of this is online. There's an Harcourt, Mifflin Harcourt is the name of the company, and they have put everything online. So when in doubt, it can be online. If you can't purchase a hard copy, it's online. So that's one really good component that you can access. So there's writing involved, answering questions at the end of all those stories, handwriting. And I know we do need to probably keep one of the handwriting programs we have in 2nd grade to boost that, the cursive. The universal screenings involved. That means that everyone in the entire grade level, the entire school gets tested 3 times a year. And that lets teachers and me, the reading specialists, the other 2 reading specialists know there might be someone who needs extra help. And then we can try to test further and maybe give them more intervention if need be. And those universal screenings are called benchmarks. And they actually dovetail into a program called Waggle. And that can be used like a center when the teacher's not working with, say, a particular group. They can be on the little mini computers. And what their score was on that universal screening then becomes their starting place on Waggle on the computer. And it's adaptive. So it keeps track of you. And if you're doing well, it will push you and move you forward. If you stumble on something, it backs you up a little bit and then adapts. And so then progress monitoring also. And that just means that I personally progress monitor my 1st graders every week. Sometimes we've done it 2 weeks, every 2 weeks, it depends. And that lets me know that what I'm teaching is actually making a difference or not, or that the student is there and they're paying attention, but maybe they're not really paying attention because the line goes up and down, up and down, up and down. So that kind of monitors their progress and lets me know what I need to do to shift and change. Did I miss anything? Thank you.
Right, so this is just an idea of some of the items that we're looking to purchase in general terms. So if you look down that bulleted list, what are the things that I think most of the teachers would agree on is an actual physical teacher's manual as opposed to an online one. I think it's more efficient for them to be able to have it in front of them if they need it at times so they can refer to it instead of trying to go back and forth to a computer. So student digital licenses, when we buy a student digital license, the teacher's license will actually come with it. The growth measure, which is a progress monitor that Heidi referred to, comes with it. And it also discounts the actual physical teacher's manual by a couple $100 if you do get the digital licenses. Teacher's manuals, card kits, reader sets, and the tabletop mini lessons are all one-time purchases. We could get those once and use them year to year. The Waggle program provides the extra practice and the reinforcement, as Heidi had mentioned. The Amira program is the oral reading fluency dyslexia screener. And this is one of the ones that is approved by the state of Connecticut at this time. There are some other options out there, and we haven't been able to get the prices on all those. I do have the price for Waggle, but for the Amira, sorry. But there might be a cheaper option out there for us besides that. But we thought we'd take a look at this anyway because it is part of the same program. And of course, we are definitely going to want some professional development with this program. What they're offering is they offer an initial 6-hour in-person training, which is 3 hours of kind of getting to know the program, and then 3 hours of actual planning within the grade level teams and assisting them with that. And then that also comes with an additional 4 30-minute sessions for up to 20 people with a live person And then we would also have that same person or coach available to us throughout the year. You know, if we had to email questions, concerns, any advice, anything like that. So next slide, please, chat. This is a costs. You can see how they kind of break down. So just, you know, so digital licenses are $24 per student. Teachers are 100 each. The Waggle program costs $20 per student. You can see that the different card kit sets, some are for K to 2. Teaching PAL set would be something we'd buy for the entire grade level. Tabletop mini lessons, I believe, are up through grade 3. So these are just to give you an idea of how those prices kind of break down. And then on the next one, chat. So after speaking with people who've been using this programs, we said, what do you need? What do you have to have? And that's kind of the left-hand column. So these would be the things that we feel like we absolutely must have. The student consumables, the digital licenses, the manuals, the PAL sets, the instructional card kits, again, those one-time purchases. We thought student licenses we could do through grades 3 to 5. We might not need them for a K1 and 2, but we would want to purchase the growth measure screening tool for our K to 2s, which is an additional cost. So to get all that is that 16.5, and again, about 6,500 of that is part of that one-time purchase. And then if we want to go to our what else we'd like to have, the Waggle to buy it for the entire school is 6,500. The professional development, I really feel like we would need that, and that's 83. And then that bottom number is that cost of that universal screener that maybe we can look and find some other cheaper options. So that's kind of everything cost-wise that we're looking for this year. And then our last slide, second to last slide, chat. About 33. And then this is just how we would look towards evaluating the program, because as we implement something new, we want to know how to evaluate it. So we want to make sure that our students are engaging comfortably with the materials, that it is ease of use for our teachers. We want to make sure that there is effective instruction, both phonics and that phonemic awareness, that there's vocabulary work is involved, that is also going to touch on fluency work. And then are we getting data that is really helping us to drive instruction? Is it useful data or is it not? We feel pretty confident that this program will fit the bill out of the ones that we have to choose from. So the last slide is just for questions. So if there are any, we'd be happy to take them and invite any members of the team. If you have anything you want to add or if you want to answer questions, don't be shy.
So thank you very much. We'll go around and take a couple of questions from any board members. Chet, you have some?
I do, thank you. The Waggle cost, the 6,500, is that a recurrent cost, or is that a one-time we purchase a programming that's hardware, or is that
No,
a software?
It's online software, yeah.
And so it's going to be a recurrent cost every year?
Yes.
Okay. Are we going to have added tech needs in terms of things like if we're introducing Waggle and things like that into our elementary school classrooms? I know we don't have the one-to-one program there. And I know most classrooms that I've seen have 3-4 computers or so, but not.
Yeah, so we shouldn't need any tech needs with this as it stands now. We have 10 Chromebooks per classroom. Okay. And I think most teachers would say, how many would you put in the center at a time? That might be on 5 or 6 kids. So we might have 5 or 6 students that would be using the Waggle at a time. So right now our tech needs should be fine with that. And that's why we think, again, at that K1, 2 level, we wouldn't need digital licenses for the students. They would tend to do less online and probably more, if we had the Waggle, that would probably be more like the center time for them.
Okay, my last question is just ebook access. Is it going to be accessed from home, or is it going to be like Epic where we're not able to get it everywhere? So it's not like it only goes till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Awesome. One of the more frustrating things as a parent of a young child. Thank you.
I just have a couple of really quick questions. Before the state came out with a mandate, sometimes there's mandates that come out that don't make a lot of sense. And I know a lot of districts have had a lot of pushback on this particular one, partially because of the cost, I think. If it weren't for the cost, do you think this mandate makes sense? And is this a program that you're excited about moving forward with? Or are you happiest with the program you have and you're just sort of feeling forced into going with the new program?
I'm going to speak for myself, and then I'm actually going to ask if people to come up and speak. I know they would like to. As far as the mandate goes, I don't know if that's right or wrong. I do think that the science of reading is important. I think that everybody standing behind me would back that up. I think it's the right way to move. For me, in terms of the building sense. We need to redo our curriculum. It's great if we can have K-6 program so that we can have coherence and common language throughout, and that we're all, using the same words and doing the same lessons and having that commonality would be fantastic. If this is the best program or not, I'm not sure, but I will let some people come up and share. Who would like to? Everybody's looking to use them. Okay. Just in terms of, and I know, and what they'll probably say is that if we weren't forced to pick this one, then we might not pick one if we didn't have the 5 to choose from, but.
Important to get a program. And this is the best option of the programs out there. So, and I think it's important, from what I understand, they change with teacher recommendations. So they're always updating their program based on teacher recommendations. And it's important that we all get trained and have the knowledge to be able to teach the kids effectively and efficiently. And explicitly, if we have that explicit knowledge, then we can better deliver it to our kids.
And then one other question. I was glad to hear you were talking about some metrics. What if you get into this program, you do the metrics, you check to see how it's going and it's not working? Is there any kind of guarantee, second track you can take that if you're a year into it and you're like, this isn't making a difference or it's not doing for us what we anticipated it doing, and now we're $34,000 in, what happens then?
Yeah. So, in terms of like student outcomes, I really wouldn't expect to see a huge impact on student outcomes for at least 2 or 3 years. So I'm a little less concerned about, let's say, that data in that sense, and more so just those evaluation points that I put out there, because that's going to be what we'll immediately see. If the students can interact with the materials comfortably, if they're enjoying it, the books are something that they want to read and they're happy with that. If it's ease of use for the teachers, and if they are getting data that they feel is helping them implement interventions and things like that, that to me would be a win. But like any program, if it's not working, there's no reason to do it just to do it. I think we would have to reevaluate at that point, be it one of the other programs that are out there, or trying to apply to the state for a waiver for something else that we feel would be more beneficial.
Thank you. Alex?
Yeah, I'm pretty supportive of this, obviously. You talk to some of the other folks in the area, the gal from Washington. Were there any negatives that they came up with, or things or improvements that they thought that they'd like to see?
We have a huge learning curve. We come in and you got to think of like if this was middle school, high school, you have no books. You're coming to a fresh new class and you're learning day one. We have going to really be working very hard next year. For some teachers, and I can use myself, I've been here since, my daughter's 18. She was 4 when I started. And my training was when you teach children to read, they read the words. Oh, don't forget, look at the pictures. You can, find little words inside the big word, and you can always skip that word. You can skip the word and go ahead and come back. That's all been stopped. And all my education at Eastern and Sacred Heart, all that thousands of dollars. I mean, I really vested my heart and soul in it. And when I was trained in Wilson training, and that was the 6 syllable types, explicit, systematic teaching, I was doing that for students that needed it. And we have found that in research, everyone benefits from that. And if you're doing well, then we back off on that and we may let you accelerate. But there are some students, everyone benefits from it, and some need it more than others. So we're going to have to really close in the gap we have, and we have all different ages of teachers. People like me who had a different education than the new ones who are here, who can run past me on the iPhone and the computer like you wouldn't believe, and we have a lot of growth to come, but I think it's going to be very positive. And I was just, I know grade 1 has really been tweaking their teaching of not like phonemic awareness, but how to decode, how to actually teach the rules of our language, the consonant, vowel, consonant, and then you add the silent E, and then you have the vowel teams, and that's the 6 syllable types. I've corrected tests today from 2 of the classrooms. I gotta say, they're looking good. So I think that way of teaching in a formal, continued program It's gonna make a difference. It's gonna take a few years. We still have residual of COVID. COVID's still there. So we're working through that. But I think I have to commend the teachers. They're positive about this. I know they know it's a lot of hard work coming. But I think it's commendable that we're gonna take this on. I don't know, I'm very proud of it. We have a lot of work to do.
Good, thank you.
And they do. What it is that whole science reading is a total shift from the way that we were taught to teach reading years ago.
Right.
So we have to really unlearn what we learned and, like you said, start fresh.
Yep.
And they have been doing a great job.
Excellent. Any other questions?
I have one. Rob, it looks like we have a rough number of like $32,000 for all of it
Mhm.
to start, and then like a $21,000 annual cost. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, about that. You know, and they do offer different packages, like, so we could sign up for a multi-year and there is, you know, a discount for that, depending. I don't know if we wanted to commit to that yet without having tried the program at first. And they do some deferred payment options for, you know, budget season. So, you know, there is some room in there, I guess. But one of the things that Heidi had alluded to was that how they had talked about, they take the feedback from teachers. And one of the components that they're adding for next year is called a structured literacy component. And that, it's an online structured literacy and the teachers will have access to it automatically, but that just came off of feedback from people who are using the program that said, we need more in this area. So they developed it pretty quick. So, it sounds like a good program so far.
We
One
do
second.
need a motion. Okay. go ahead.
Just quick,
Yep.
one question, sorry. You said that there's a multi-year discount
Mhm.
and you weren't sure if you'd want to commit to that in the first year, but you also said that it would take 2 or 3 years to kind of figure out the metrics. Wouldn't it make more sense to commit to that if you could do a 3-year package to then get that discounted rate to then kind of figure out if it is working for our students?
Yeah, and it could, and again, those metrics up front, like the student
Right.
outcomes, but
Understood.
I should know within 6 months or not if this is, you know, usable for them or if they're like, this is way too much. And that was one of the, you know, one of the other criticisms that had been mentioned when we talked to people about it was just, it's a lot and you can't take it all on. You have to kind of do it in small pieces. So we're kind of also ready for that too. Thank you.
I'd like to just chime in and say how proud I am of Mr. Salino and his team for their initiative in learning about what's possible in reading education. And, you know, originally, I had responded to the state that we needed another year to explore the options, think about it. But this team obviously has done thorough research and they've identified the program that they would like to use. So I know that, you know, the board is supposed to approve curriculum and this is a major piece of the curriculum. So I hope the board would approve this program tonight, not where the funding's coming from. Because I think that we might be able to buy the program or portions of the program with money, Board of Ed money from this end of the year and not touch non-lapsing and, because we didn't budget for this for next school year, because we didn't know that they would have identified it. They worked way harder than and quicker than we thought they were gonna work. But we're really happy they did it, and I think we're in a situation where we may be able to purchase the entire program or at least the major pieces that they need to get started with the end of the year money. So I would ask that the board consider voting to approve this as a new reading curriculum.
Can I ask one more question? I'm just curious, and I don't need exact numbers or anything like that or specific people. I'm just curious. Was it a pretty unanimous decision across the committee that this was the best out of the 5?
Well-known programs, but there's some that are more, they're more diverse, or they may have different audience too. And then others that may have components that we just really weren't looking for. We know of other towns that are doing a program that they've had to supplement with other components. And I really had a good, I seeked out this woman from Washington, I happened to stumble on her. She really had a lot of positive things to say about it, and 23 elementary schools, and they're going with it. And she said they've already, this is their year, I think it's their year 1, right? I think it's well, she said this would end up being their number one. A nearby school is doing the number two that they chose, but that's the one that needs supplements. So, and there's no perfect anything. So we'll do our best.
And Chet, as you may know, Preston is adopting the same program.
And this would also be eliminating STAR, correct? So STAR would be gone and our new progress monitoring would be done with the same
So
program.
if we did the growth measure, let's say if we got the online license with that growth measure component, we wouldn't need to do the ELA portion of STAR anymore. So then we could look at, if we wanted to try to eliminate STAR from mathematics as well, if there's other options out there of something that we could use, which personally, I think we could find something. But did you want Mrs. Snyder?
Excuse my voice, a lot of talking tonight. But in response to what you asked, so at our meetings that we had, there was a time Rob was giving us a lot of options. Grade levels could pilot different things, teachers could pilot different things. At one point, a different grade level was going to go with a different program. And as we looked at it more and more, everyone decided this one. When we were experiencing and looking at all the different programs, we were able to decide amongst ourselves as a grade level what we wanted to do and what we wanted to look at. And we all came up with this was the best option. And we thought it really was something that we wanted to move forward with. So collectively, we independently came up with those decisions, which was actually really a great way. So it was good.
Well, I know Troy mentioned this. This is the second presentation I've seen on this reading program because I also attended the other Board of Ed meeting and they were also pretty unanimous across the board that this was the best of the five for us. So.
Can we get a motion to approve the into reading with the supplements that the administration's asking for?
I move to approve the into reading program with the supplements that the administration has asked for.
All right. Any other discussion? Thank you very much for coming forward with all of that really good information. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. And if you guys are, is it all right if they head home after a long day of wellness day? Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
There's cupcakes in the back. You can take some with you.
Take cupcakes, take cupcakes. All right, and we're going to move into students' reports.
You can turn it off. Okay. I'm not going to read any of that. Okay. Actually, I've had that person.
Just wait till we get you guys up. 1 second. Okay, you guys can go ahead.
So I'm gonna start with Wheeler High School. So the NEAS candidacy went really well. And the team came in and met with multiple teachers as well as popped into several classrooms throughout the day. And we are happy with our progress to move towards district accreditation and look forward to the collaborative conference in the fall of 2025. We are winding down with only 2.5 weeks left in the fourth quarter. The teachers are preparing their students for their final assessments to showcase their work and our academic expectations. And this is a really big shift to how we are assessing students in areas of analysis, collaboration, communication, and literacy. And the staff and students have been working hard together on this initiative. And we also wanted to remind parents that although the students don't need to cram and study for each test, we still want them to be practicing their skills ahead of the assessments so they can independently show their mastery towards them on the day of their assessments. Graduation plans are underway. So we'll be doing the district graduation walk on Tuesday, June 13th for the staff and students, and it'll be outside unless the weather doesn't cooperate. Then it won't be inside in the hallways, but it'll still be just as good. Senior project capstone day is Friday, June 2nd, and pretty much everyone's invited. So June 9th, So you're all invited, but make sure that you RSVP so you can get assigned to a presentation instead of just showing up. Award nights for high school students is on Monday, June 12th. 9th and 10th graders are from 6 to 7, and 11th to 12th graders are from 7 to 8. Testing is almost finished, so all of 7th and 8th grades have taken their SBAC tests, while 8th and 11th graders took the NGSS testing. And thank you to Mr. Pont and our IT department for a fairly seamlessly run. And because of the pandemic, this information is really important so that we can continue to address the needs of students as we work hard to close any of those learning gaps. Multiple teams, sports teams have qualified for the ECC tournament, including the boys golf, boys baseball, girls lacrosse, and girls softball. I know that girls softball and boys baseball also made it to states, and I'm pretty sure girls lacrosse did as well. Wellness day was today. I thought it was pretty fun. A lot of options were such as like a walking tour of North Stonington, volleyball, kickball, nutrition courses, smoothie making, and there were times for like seniors to work on their senior signs, like that has their last name that they place out for the parents on graduation day. I got to work on one. It was pretty fun. There were lots of celebrations last month. Thanks to our PTO for helping honor our teachers for Teacher Appreciation Week, and it was a great week overall, and a huge shout out to parents for their help with our teacher raffle baskets. They were a huge hit. And we also celebrated our school nurses for their work on behalf of our staff and students. Thank you, Mrs. Kessler, for all of your work and taking great care of us. Love you.
And then to start off, our North Stonington Elementary School wants to thank our wonderful PTO and Board of Education for taking time to recognize and celebrate our teachers and staff last week. We all know how hard they work, and they were definitely shown some appreciation that week. We also want to thank our great families who helped to make our teacher basket raffle a success and celebrated our school nurse. So a big thank you to Ali Souza for all that she does to wipe the tears and keep our kids healthy and strong. The NEASC visit also went well, and hearing more about the process and having visitors here helped to put some elementary minds at ease. And we are really glad to be working so collaboratively with Wheeler. We are looking forward to their assistance and expertise as we make this important shift. SBAC testing is wrapping up this week with makeup scheduled for next week. And we are all really proud of how our students have been working, and we are looking forward to seeing some great results over the summer. Spring concerts this month are beginning this month, and we've been treated to several concerts. Our kindergarten, first grade, second graders performed 2 weeks ago, and this past week it was our third, fourth, and fifth graders. Miss Ellis does a great job of preparing our students and helping them to put on a great performance. This week we will have our band concert and are still looking forward to our sixth grade corns concert in June. This week, our sixth graders will have their DARE graduation, and we are so pleased that Trooper White has been able to bring this program back to North Stonington Elementary School with the help of Truther McCarthy. The sixth grade promotion will be on Friday, June 16th at 9:30. We'll be in our gym, and we'll be asking for no more than 4 people per student. Our sixth graders will be having their celebration on the 10th at the YMCA. Special thank you to all the sixth grade parents who worked so hard to make this happen, and at no charge to the students. And then finally, field day will be on June 14th with the 15th as like a rain date. And there will be more information.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Madison or John? Okay, good job. Thank you, guys. It's nice to hear all the things going on. That brings us up to our superintendent report.
Okay, so the only thing I really wanted to say is what Madison said, so on Wellness Day. Thank you. But I will add a couple things. A lot of planning went into that. Kimberly Haggerty did a ton of that planning. Her co-chair for this was Stephen Bailey. There are probably many other people involved in the planning or running workshops. Some I heard at the very last minute. A lot of options for people, right? It was a lot of fun today. To see people have a different kind of day, which is, I think, very unique. It's one of the things that makes North Stonington schools unique. This year, Irma Wilhelm did a ton of planning because we had central office offerings for staff for wellness. And Alicia Clemens also was involved. She did like a potting workshop for plants. She gave people who left here with basil plants after they came over. People were able to go in that room and get their carotid arteries scanned. And we'll get results in 2 weeks. There was a massage therapist in the back. It was very popular for staff to come over and get a massage. There was teas, hot teas, cold teas. There were lotions, smelly stuff that like relaxes you, I think, when you sniff it. So it was a lot. There was a lot of stuff. So I'm really, really happy that the whole wellness day, and I'm happy that the central office was to partake in that and offer some things for staff. So it was a really nice day. I had a few other things I was going to say, but I already talked about the reading program a little bit, and you already voted on it. Thank you very much. And then I'll hold any other comments I have. When you get into non-lapsing, maybe I'll have some contributions at that point, or maybe not. We will see. All right, any questions? Okay.
Thanks, Troy. I just have a couple of things. Bill, Troy and I have been meeting regularly over at the town hall, getting prepped for audit, making sure we're coming up with the right systems with our reports. It's been a really good meeting. We've been working together really well. Our next meeting is scheduled for June 5th. We're also going to be meeting, Troy and I are going to be meeting with Greg Pont to talk about some of the IT needs and the purchasing plan moving forward. We'll certainly bring more of that to the board after we have that initial discussion. There is a tri-board meeting on June 12th at 6 o'clock. So I need everybody to RSVP if they can make that or not. One thing that did come up at the finance committee was that we really want this will be hosted by the Board of Finance. So it'll be a recap on the budgeting process, but we really want to start talking about how to collaborate to get that permanent school building committee back so that we can start getting some of our capital needs continuing to be funded through that fund that was taken away during the building project. And then there was, Jamie had requested a meeting about some before and after care. And I did have a good conversation with Samantha Horrigan over with the new North Stonington's Early Learners. That is a program that is for 6 weeks to 12 years old. So a really, really awesome conversation. She's got a lot of experience. She's got some really great plans in place. She is offering before and after care. After school care, she opens at 7 and closes at 5:30. We talked a little bit about how can we maybe make a bus stop for that, like we do with Pollywogs and Kids and Co. She gave me a pricing list. It's very, very affordable. I think parents will be very happy with the cost to either do the morning or the afternoon, 1 day, 3 days, whatever they want to do. Her plan, once she's up and running, is to start offering things like home ec, movement yoga, pottery, all kinds of different options for after school care other than just having kids come in and sit and have a snack and do homework. That's not what she's about. So I think it would be a really awesome option without having to stress our current facility, our current staff, certainly to support her as she's getting started, to see what her capacity is. So that's kind of what the conversation was there. Having a place that offers that right across the street, I think could be perfect for what our parents are looking for.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good option for us to consider, but I think we wanted to come together as a committee to really think about other ways that we could provide for the town. Because I think we're going to run into a lot of capacity issues, and there are other programs like that already in town. So how can we maximize that for all the people that want it? And I think we want to kind of look at that as a more holistic thing as well.
Okay.
So we've, it's a little tricky to get our schedules together, but I think we figured out a way that we could maybe just have an initial meeting on June 5th. We're going to have it before that EDC meeting. Virtually, we'll do it. And then.
So who's meeting for that?
So it's the 4 of us. So Chet, Brian, and Stephanie. We talked about this last. This was
Yeah, I know.
last-
I just
okay.
didn't know that you had come up with a date yet. And so that the June 5th is at what time? Is that?
We're gonna
at 6
try to
o'clock?
do early at 5 because the EDC meeting is at 6, so it's just gonna be really quick. Just kind of troubleshoot and talk through some of the needs that we're all kind of hearing and thinking about. But we certainly would like to get a survey out as soon as possible, but I think we as a committee would like to also help make recommendations for what we'd like to see on that survey. I don't know if that's okay, Troy, with you, and certainly just provide a little bit of other guidance for that.
Okay, excellent. And that's June 5th at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, can I just ask a
Is
quick?
that going to be by Zoom?
Yeah, we'll do Zoom.
Okay.
Can I just ask a quick question about the June 12th meeting? Do you want us to RSVP?
I just need to know to let Bob know,
Okay.
that date works for everybody. The more board members we can have there, the better. Yeah, and then I can let Bob know.
Okay.
6 o'clock. Tri-board, yeah.
Can I also just add, do we need to post this as an ad hoc committee meeting in terms of if we're having a discussion?
Yeah, it's gonna have a quorum. You're gonna need to post it. Definitely. I don't know what we're calling it. You could call it an ad hoc, I guess.
Is
That's
it
fine.
goal 2 committee meeting?
Yeah, it could be a goal 2 subcommittee meeting.
Is it,
You're not-
but is everybody on goal 2 going to be at that meeting? I'm just wondering if that's just maybe something we want to make as part of our next meeting. I mean, you're going to have 5 out of 8 of us there. Is that something we should just make it as an agenda item instead of having to have a separate meeting?
I think we really want to think about what we want to do first, maybe before
Okay.
we like have a full blown meeting. Just kind of talk through some ideas of like, what would that look like for before and after care type of thing?
Okay.
What type of questions might we ask on the survey?
Okay.
I mean, certainly anybody can join us if they want.
Okay.
But I think it would be good to kind of think about it in more of an informal setting first.
Okay. I think you can just call it an ad hoc before and after care meeting. I don't think what we call it's really that.
All right. Do I need to send something to Irma?
No, she's got it.
You
Looks
got
like
it.
she's on it.
Thank
So
you.
that's 5 o'clock. We'll do a Zoom. And that's on June 5th. Easy day. It's good that it's on June 5th though, because it's already a meeting day. So then I'll just add it. Let's see. That's all I had to report at this time. We did have a good facilities and finance committee meeting at 5:30. Do you want to go through anything, Alex, as far as the financials at this point?
We had some questions for Bill. He responded adequately to the questions that we had. We talked about adding to the format of the reporting documents, financial documents, to make it a little bit easier to understand trends. So I think we'll see that in the next financial coming up. But my recommendation on the financial reports would be to accept them and send them to the Board of Finance. You want the copies of the questions I asked, and if you had questions on your own, you're all set. So, okay. I think, so you didn't receive them, right? You did them? Okay.
We had the questions and the answers were emailed to us from Bill, so.
I haven't checked my email. to see if
Yeah,
I got that. Anyway, I'll make a motion to approve the February financials, to accept them and send them to the Board of Finance.
I say,
That's sentence. Okay. All those in favor?
Hold on, just to make sure there's any questions
Oh,
out of it. just to
sorry, I forgot that
be
part. Discussion?
clear, right, that's,
Right. Any discussion on the February financials? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstain?
I'll make a motion to accept the March financials to also send to the Board of Finance.
I second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstain?
And make a motion to forward the April reports to the Board of Finance.
The language accept.
You accept, I'm not.
Oh, what I meant to
Said
say
forward. You
accept.
just said forward.
Yeah.
I second.
All right, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed and abstain.
Okay, we also did talk about end of the year projections. There were some questions on how the calculations came about. I think there was a lot of discussions, and there's still a little bit of time left before we get a better visibility of where we are to the $21,000 that is projected at this point, approximately. Any questions on that?
And I just had the $21,000 number is as if we had already approved this reading curriculum, or we are taking the reading curriculum now out of this 21,000? Because I feel like I've been
So that,
confused about
that
this.
21,000 is a pretty conservative number, and it does not currently include the reading curriculum.
Okay,
We'll
so
know more as the numbers start flushing through in the next month or so.
And that reading curriculum purchase will be a quick enough purchase that if we come right in at the end, it's gonna come before, what is it, August 15th, we have to have delivery by?
Any other questions on the year-end report right now? We had a good discussion about the format, got some clarity on it, so it's good. Yeah, you want me to go through that part? Okay. So on the non-lapsing, we had a lot of discussion on that as well.
Before we get to non-lapsing, Troy, did you want to share the year-end expenditure list? Before we close out that item?
All right, we were gonna kind of wait on that until we got a better idea of where we were at for the year end, because if we end up using all of it for reading program. He wasn't,
So I think that's maybe important to say to
Okay.
the whole board that,
we just hand the list out.
yeah,
guess, even
I
though
think it
it's
would
not-
be helpful for the whole board to see
Okay.
it.
And then the other side will kind of segue into the non-lapsing piece too. I forgot about the other side, so. And Steph, I forgot about your piece. So,
I forgot about it too.
all right. You can put it in on public comment.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay. We need one for Chet also. I also need one for Chet.
Yeah.
All right, so this is a list that Troy provided to us of some of the things that we can take a look at that we still are interested in purchasing.
It's the smaller side.
The end of year expenditures on the top. So depending on where we fall for this year, the only thing that and some of them, depending on where we're at, can certainly move over to the non-lapsing as well. We just thought we'd hold on it. It's just basically an idea list at this point. And the only one that wouldn't be able to move over to non-lapsing if we went in that direction is the curriculum work. It's not really a hard purchase. That's a hours driven purchase. Any questions on that?
I guess I would also say we probably don't want to move the reading curriculum into non-lapsing either.
I really believe we're gonna have enough money when we balance it all
Okay,
out.
and I know what a pug mill is, just because it's a fun word. What is a clay pug mill?
Oh,
or an art plug.
I believe it, you could say tenderizes the clay. I believe, you know how clay can be really hard
What a
to
pug mill
start,
is, Maddie?
and it's really takes a lot of elbow grease and thumbs and everything. I think it's a machine you put it in and it makes it so it's more pliable.
Like a giant clothes dryer that just kind of whacks it all around.
One of the things on the list is a $3,800 pug mill for clay.
Is that right, Kristen? Okay. I was really speculating, so.
All right.
Can I ask another question? So is this, what's the router?
Yeah, so that puts holes in materials like for tech ed. And you
Okay.
can program it to put
Okay.
the hole exactly where you
I
want the
see.
hole
Okay.
in the material you want the
So
hole.
not like internet, but
Right,
physical.
right.
Gotcha.
I think it cuts in the wood or metal, I believe.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, so I was somewhat accurate.
So, all right,
I
thank
call
you.
that an efficiency then.
All right, thank you. Thank you. So we'll continue to look at this list as we get closer to year end. And then that takes us up to the, there's a list on the back. A little bit of the stuff on the top with some of the things we talked about off of the non-lapsing last time. The Board of Finance had, or the Finance Committee had a pretty big discussion about where to move forward right now with non-lapsing. And we felt pretty strongly that we should, obviously get that roof repaired with the bird damage that's already been approved and hold on any other spending until we get our RFP back. We've requested the RFP. We'll have a deadline date on our June 7th meeting of when that RFP is coming back for the fields. And then from there, we can decide how to move forward. We did get a list of playground things from Jamie as well, so we can certainly continue to keep those on the list. But we didn't want to start buying a little bit here and a little bit there and then be short on the big RFP until we have a final decision of how we want to move forward.
I'd just like to remind everybody that that special discount is up June 30th. So if we want to get in on that inclusion play grant, we would have to do that by June 30th.
All right, and you don't anticipate them continuing grants like that?
No, it's like hit or miss.
Okay,
So,
all right.
and I'm happy to discuss or answer anybody's questions about that.
Okay, and that's for all the playground equipment. I did have one question. On the shades, the shade didn't look that expensive, but the cost to install was like 5 times the cost of the shade. Is that correct?
I
It
don't
was
remember.
24,000 with install and it was 4,300 for the shade.
No, there were there's 4 shades, sorry. There should have been 4 shades.
So there's four 12 by 12 by 8s and under game time, and there's 4 American Playground ones, so there's
Yep.
8 altogether.
Yeah, but we would pick, or somebody would pick which one they wanted.
So this
Those are add
depends.
alternates. So depending on who we go with, what company you want, if we stick with only game time pieces, it may be a little cost effective to use them, but they're significantly more. I did get some great feedback from Rob and Mrs. Scanapiego about the shades, and maybe it seems like they may not even care about the shades, which is great. So
Okay. Did they give you any feedback on anything else?
just the surfboard versus I think the balance beam, and I think the balance beam seemed like a yeah. Yeah, the balance beam is not is American Playground. The surfboard is actually part of the grant because it's considered an inclusive play. But it's not very discounted. If you see, I have the price comparison there. It's random.
And which one did they prefer?
The balance beam,
Okay.
which is significantly cheaper. And honestly, I don't know why that one is so expensive. They said it's actually it's chair height, I think they said. So it's quite high off the ground. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I got the sense that there's a need for inclusive playground equipment, because, and I walked around with Lisa and Troy was there and Rob, and we kind of highlighted the areas. There's only one piece of equipment that's inclusive on the big kid playground, which is the tippy, which is not a favorite of the teachers. And then we just have a swing on the pre-K. So it would be nice to have more inclusive playground equipment.
Can you explain what inclusive playground equipment is?
Yep, it's for all bodies. So whether you're in a wheelchair, if you have any sort of need to use equipment differently, this is adaptable so that you can participate in all the playground activities. So whether it be you're crawling, you're underneath and your wheelchair, whatever it may be. So it's the idea is that all children can use it versus you're not going to have necessarily all children use the playground equipment that we have right now.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any other questions on the playground? So I guess when we get an idea of when the RFP is going to come in next week or on June 7th, if it's not going to be by the end of June, then we're going to need to make a decision on purchasing playground equipment at the next meeting. And as long as you put the purchase order in, then you're fine to get those discounts. Okay.
They basically have already given us the grant, so, I'll have to fill out some paperwork, but other than that, it's all
Okay.
set.
All right. And thank you for the PowerPoint. That was really helpful as well. Any other discussion on the non-lapsing at this point? Okay. One thing that did come up also about there's the RFP on the agenda, not there yet. Agenda. All right, that'll come up next, so. Oh, it's the next thing. All right. So we're going to move into the RFP for the grounds. One thing that did come up was that we want to go back to the committee that did the study and ask them to also take a look at the exact layout and to see if that is the very best layout we should have, or if we should think about reconfiguring what we have as well and get an idea if that's even something we can afford. I think talking to Wayne would make some good insight on that as well, because I'm sure he's well familiar with the layout and what works and what doesn't work. But we are going to go back to that committee as well and or that company as well, and ask them to take a second look at the layout also. And Troy had worked out a layout where we could do the soccer field first and reconfigure how we use the other two fields so that soccer could stay located across the street and we wouldn't have to send our kids elsewhere. So those are all good things to take a look at, knowing more once we know more about cost. Any other discussion on that? We did talk about that quite a bit at Finance Committee as well. Anyone else? Did you have anything? All right, and that moves us into public comment. Oh, I haven't, sorry. All right, so we need some discussion on goal 1.
So I added, I knew that we had received the email that we had gotten regarding the concerns on the threats at the elementary school. And I thought that being that goal 1 was surrounding safety, and the sense of belonging, that might be something that we want to look at. I know that I personally, with, speaking with a variety of people and parents within the elementary school, there are instances where I feel like people have seen a lot more negative language and some other things that are occurring. And I just thought that perhaps what we needed to do was get a goal 1 committee meeting where we might take a look at some programming that we might be able to implement. I know there's a lot of outside groups that can come into elementary schools and do some of those specific programming pieces for anti-bullying. There's a variety of them, but the Sandy Hook, challenge and some other things that we've looked at in the past. And I just thought that it might be something that we wanted to look at as a combination with the elementary school, with Troy on goal 1, to be able to look if there's something we wanted to try next year. So that was why I wanted to bring it up, just because I knew that was a concern that had been sent to us. And it was something that I thought, I think a lot of educators are seeing that a decent amount of language, the way that children speak to each other has changed significantly since the pandemic, and the fact that people feel much more comfortable using negative language, that other students are actually accepting negative language used against them without questioning it, and some of those other things. So I was hoping that perhaps coming into the summer months, when we might calm down a little bit post budget here, or even, here in the late spring. I know there's a lot going on, but come July and August coming into next year, I just thought that if we can get a goal 1 committee meeting where Rob might be able to attend, if we can do it during a day when you have some freedom. I know, everybody has a busy schedule, and so I don't want to make things harder, but I also think that perhaps if we had some plans going into next year where we could get some programming in and really just delve into that on that SEL side of things with the kids, I think it would be important. So.
Yeah, obviously, I also, she's my daughter, so it's my grandkids, so I'm very aware of the situation and stuff. So I also advocate that we, because it's not the first case, and people outside my family also heard similar stories, so we need to be a little bit more proactive somehow to try to understand what the issues are. I think I also advocate for having outside resources come in and also help a little bit. So.
Well,
I totally agree. How do we set that other person at ease? So we understand that we're doing something, we are actually making things, trying to make it better, making it better, but so they know that we're not a sitting duck, we're doing something. How do we educate both sides to understand or communicate more? I know we can't give out information about the person. And if that happened, you want to make sure that your child is safe. So how do we make everybody at ease with communicating that?
Well, and I do want to make clear that many of the times when parents talk to me, they do say that the response from you, Rob, at the elementary school level is quick, is responsive, that you talk, that you work through those things. And so I guess for me, the question becomes, what do we do moving forward to not have those actions occur in the first place? And so I appreciate the responsiveness. I know as a parent, it would be very difficult for me if I were in the shoes of these people who are having these situations, and I understand the emotionality of it and those other pieces. As a board, I feel like the big thing we can do is figure out ways to create an environment that is focused on teaching kids the way to act with each other better. And I guess that's I was looking for a way that we could move forward as a board, and I feel like that's the space that as a board we can move resources to those spaces. We can look to what can we do moving forward, and I want to make sure that we're doing that. So I guess, yeah.
Chet, I 100% support your idea of being proactive, and I think as a board we can do that. And in that goal group meeting and talking about it, and then you admin sort of saying like, here's what we need from you as a board to do that. And Kristen, I totally get what you're saying. My concern is it education? I don't like when a parent walks away feeling like their kid's not safe. And I wonder if there's maybe education, it didn't resonate with me, but how do we make sure that the kid is safe, both parties are safe, and that the parent feels that? Because I think that that's a really it's a big struggle to send your kid to school and entrust them to the care of people other than you and feel like they might not be safe that day. And so I really react to her feeling like it's not safe. And then my other issue, and this is really for the board, today, Ms. Meyer stood up and said that she'd had sort of that graduated level of interaction that we encourage parents to have, right? She talked to the building administrator and she's talked to the superintendent. And she's indicating that she's not satisfied. And I'm not sure what.
I can respond to that. I didn't get the email. And I have responded to every parent every time I get an email, and I will say
For
that's
sure.
usually the first thing I do is check the chain of command.
Yeah.
I will go back to my emails. I know what the issue is. I've gotten 2 or 3 emails that are saying something's jammed up. So I don't want you to think I haven't responded, because I have a list of every single parent communication that I always
No, and you always
respond
forward it
to.
to us. Yeah, no, this isn't about my concern that you didn't respond. As a board, I guess I'm unfamiliar. What does our policy say that we're supposed to do? So I appreciate that you're gonna respond and you're gonna say, thank you for reaching out, and we take this very seriously, and all those things that you appropriately said to her tonight. Is there something that we need to do as a board when someone says, I've reached out to the building administrator and I've reached out to the superintendent and I'm not satisfied? We're the next level. So what is our responsibility when we have a parent verbalize that? We can't direct them back to the superintendent or the building administrator because they've already done that. So what does our policy indicate that we need to do now?
My thought process would be that, and what I've done in the past is the first thing I will do is go back to the superintendent and have a conversation about, this has come to our attention. Where are we at with this without disclosing too much information? But this is a problem. And I will give the superintendent the opportunity to rectify it and to do what needs to be done. There is a grievance process a parent can take that goes through the Board of Education. But my goal would be to get it back to where it belongs and have it taken care of so that parent is satisfied, so that the parent is feeling their child is safe, and so that child is feeling that they're safe. From there, we haven't had a grievance come up in the 10 years that I've been on here, but it doesn't mean it can't happen. And that would be the next steps that we would certainly let the parent know what their steps are on that.
Good, I just want to make sure we're not leaving a parent sort of hanging with like, yeah, we take this really seriously, and then not sort of give her that time. So good, as long as there's a plan and there's a process in place, I'm satisfied.
Yeah, and normally on something like that too, Steph, I don't just return an email. I'm going to make a phone call, and I'm going to reach out a little bit more personally than just a generic email. It's just not usually the way I do it. And I will say, if the, and I totally appreciate that. That's not what we heard tonight. So but I also know Troy heard her loud and clear. I have no doubt that Troy is running this through his head all night long and has a plan to reach back out to Rob and will address it appropriately.
I just want to say that I agree with everything that people are saying, and I kind of want to echo what Phil is talking about a little bit more. Of the communication, I think, is what we need to focus on too. And part of that, like Chet, some parents have come up to me and explained that they've been experiencing, or their child has been experiencing, some type of bullying. And I think they don't know about the chain of command. And I know that we may think that we know, But on a fundamental level, if you're a parent and your child is coming to you scared, you get scared and then you're like, I don't know what to do. So I hope that we can kind of go forward with our communication, being like, here's the plan. You're going to talk to your teacher, then you're going to talk to the building administrator. And then, that really telling that and making that very clear that that's the chain of command of how to go forward. And that's what I do when anybody tells me anything. I said, hold on, have you talked to your building administrator? So, I just want to echo that not all parents may be familiar with that.
Also, for more work on that too, Chet, there is we were planning for summer to do a July 26th workshop. So that, once your goal one meets, that might be a good place to dig into that a little bit further as well. All right. So do we have any other public comment this evening? All right. Oh, Stephanie?
Yes, I have public comment, yes.
Sorry.
So Board of Education, I am on the steering committee for the Plan of Conservation and Development. And we have only had about 100 surveys turned back to us. So those surveys, I think the QR code is posted on the town website right now. It's not hard to find. It's there are paper copies available at Town Hall, but they're really pushing the electronic version. It's easier to input. But the Plan of Conservation and Development is going to shape where we want our town to go in the next 10 years. It's really, really important, and everyone's getting a little nervous that there hasn't been a lot of participation. So I'm urging you to please, if you haven't filled out a survey, please do so. And then also mark your calendar for June 24th. There's going to be the visioning session at the middle high school from 10 o'clock until 11:30, where you will hear the results of the survey as well as a summary of the neighborhood meetings that were held. And then have an opportunity to talk more about what you'd like to see in the Plan of Conservation Development, and then ultimately that plan will be written. So if you could participate in that, would be wonderful. Also that day in the afternoon, right after lunch, we're going to have a community conversation about what to do with the grounds of 298 now that the building has been leveled. So it would be incredible to have as much board participation as we can.
Super excited to spend my first Saturday of summer at that meeting. Thank you, Steph. We're going to go ahead and take a 5-minute break and propose for executive session. So everybody can grab a cupcake or 3, and Madison can go. Yes. All right. Thank you all for staying. Have a nice night.